Hello, people of the internet. Ian Altosaar, the Freedom Astrology, once again here. And we're now made it to the final video of the sign portion of this mini lesson or mini class in astrology and how to read a birth chart. So, just the last three signs, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. And let's jump in, straight. And guys, if you haven't seen any of my previous videos in this series, please go check out my channel. They are right there on their mini lessons in astrology, and you can just start, basically you can start learning for free how to read a birth chart. But in order to, to make, our first steps or even bigger steps in reading birth charts, we need to, build the foundations. And this is what we're doing right now when we're getting through the signs and we're getting through the basics and maybe the, some of the more important things about the signs during these kind of mini videos. And then once we're done with this video and the last three signs, we can go on and start learning about the houses. Okay, let's dive in and let's start with Capricorn. So I will show you Capricorn is right here. This symbol, it doesn't really look like Capricorn if you think about a Capricorn, but in astrology, this is the symbol of a Capricorn. So as always, let's start with the quality and elemental side of this sign. And this Capricorn sign is, from a quality perspective, cardinal. So it is action oriented. Remember, guys, cardinal is kind of action oriented, more full of action, wanting to initiate, wanting to do things type of energy. And on the other side of the Capricorn coin is the the element, which is earth. So if you remember in one of my first videos, earth sign is a very slow moving, kind of very grounded, takes its time to go anywhere, literally very thought through, I would say, is earth sign as well, because earth sign is very well adjusted to life on earth, so they do have their both feet on the ground. But now if you put these two things that I've been talking about together, cardinal and earth, so Capricorns are, if you know somebody with a lot of Capricorn energy in their birth chart, they are kind of like these, I plan my actions, I know the kind of steps that I need to take, like literally foundations that we're building is Capricorn as well. I know the steps that I need to take, and I start gradually every day kind of pushing and moving and gradually moving towards those end goals. But I know these steps in between as well. I have them very planned out, I have them organized, and then I just go on and take these steps, and then I get to my goal, which is the top. Capricorn wants to be at the top. We want these higher positions in society, in life, in career. They are very much oriented towards those, very much oriented towards career and achievement, being professional, organizing. They can be really cold. It's a bit of a cold energy, and whatever Capricorn is in our charts, this is, it's good to organize that area of our lives and structure, have it very structured, organized, and this is usually where we are, more organized and structured. But also the other side of Capricorn energy is the restrictive, kind of cold side of it as well. So there are limitations. Capricorn is very like frugal, minimalistic sign. It doesn't like overflowing. It likes to make it very simple, like black color and cold things, and very minimalistic, very few things in the house, and so on and so forth. Capricorn is a lot to do with achieving the maximum with minimum amount of resources. Very important to understand. Very pragmatic, obviously. Very much, in the earth, don't like a lot of those higher things. Usually, depending on other things in the birth chart. But they are, very motivated, to start things because of material achievement. Remember that cardinal side of them, but it will take them longer because of the earth side, because they move just very, very slowly. So Capricorn is literally working, doing the hard work, putting in the practical material efforts. This is also Capricorn. And also in wherever area in our birth charts is the Capricorn areas, this is where we need those practical day-to-day kind of efforts to achieve anything in those areas. So nothing really comes easy in those areas in the birth chart. So take your time, though, there if you see Capricorn. Also, like I said, foundations, bones, structure, government organizations, everything. These matters are all Capricorn energy. Everything that is old and even time itself is ruled by or represented by Capricorn. And usually later in life, Capricorns do achieve those higher positions if they put in the effort, if they go towards their, plan. If they don't, very often these, even all of us in those areas where Capricorn is in our birth charts, we can get kind of bitter. So it's important to make those constant improvements, constant growing, constant moving. At times Capricorn is like, at times it can seem like we're going and moving backwards, but we're actually not. We're actually still moving and growing and moving forward, but it's so slow that it seems like it's literally going backwards. So also all kinds of certifications, things that prove to them their worth is very, very important for also represented by Capricorn, and important for them as well. What did I want to say about this? I think I got the best or the most important parts. Yeah. Limitations, organization, structure. Yeah, I think I mentioned everything with this that I wanted to kind of briefly. Maybe the critical side of Capricorn is because they're so kind of cold and dry as well. At times that very deep critic, because it's almost like there's never enough. Nothing is enough, and they kind of feel that nothing is enough and everything. There's not enough things in the world. Basically this is how their approach. So there's a kind of like the bitterness, coldness can be there, and they can be quite critical at the same time as well. So now let's go on and let's take Aquarius. Aquarius is right here. There it is, this kind of like waves kind of sign. This is the sign of Aquarius. Usually it is represented by these kind of waves. And now the element of Aquarius is also air, which a lot of people, especially in this kind of modern internet society or times, because a lot of times Aquarius can be seen as with the water and like pouring the water. This is where the confusion comes. Aquarius isn't actually a water sign. Actually Aquarius is an air sign. And please remember that, because it does have the qualities of air rather than any kind of water. Now, the second part of because remember also this air is all about, movement and change and information and exchanging information, having knowledge. And I would say quickness as well. But now Aquarius, the other side of Aquarius, the elemental side of Aquarius is fixed. So remember, fixed is very, very much alike with Earth. It doesn't like to move. It likes to move very gradually, slowly. It's kind of holds on to things and doesn't let them go. Moves very gradually. It's more to do with, you know, having that status quo and keeping that status quo as alive. Earth and fixed are both of that nature. And remember, Capricorn, this is what I didn't mention about Capricorn. Capricorn also likes to keep the status quo alive and start new things in that status quo. But now, the Aquarius side is like, it's like almost they move really fast and at the same time are really at the same place as well, if that makes sense. And this is one of the reasons Aquarius is a very confusing sign, because from the air perspective, they want new things, they want new information, they can stand almost the status quo. And at the same time, the fixed side of the Aquarius actually likes to keep the status quo, likes to keep things as they are. And now it's a mixture of those, and this is one of the reasons Aquarius goes to those extremes. When you've noticed Aquarius, they go like this to this, and then suddenly jumps up or down. And this is one of the reasons they like to go extreme, because they hold, and then they jump into those extremes, those air. I want new, I want excitability, I want new things into my life. Now, again, whenever we're talking about air sign, it's all about communication, and Aquarius is likes to communicate ideas, likes to communicate new ideas, kind of like thought-provoking, futuristic ideas, sometimes even very futuristic. It does represent big groups of people, social groups. Our friends is Aquarius. So wherever Aquarius is, it does give us an indication of our friends as well, what types of friends we pick for ourselves and where we can find them even. The space, science, all of these kind of technology, all of these kinds of new areas or thought-provoking and areas that are grasping for new things in the future. These are all to do with Aquarius. Cryptocurrency, for example, is a good example of this as well. But this other part of one part of Aquarius is like very material, very kind of economic goal oriented. The other one is more like humanistic, and it's but the thing is here with Aquarius, it's because it's a little bit, again, with air. Remember, air is a bit aloof. It's a bit emotionally detached. It does communicate all those ideas and things, but it is kind of like the emotional attachment isn't there. And they are very mental. It's a very intellectual sign, Aquarius as well. Very important for them, the social goals usually as well. It's I've seen very often it's either or. The person either is very materially focused, very only material goals, or very kind of, again, those extremes with the Aquarius, they tend to go, or very kind of like social goals, more, not socialist, but, social goals. Social goals are, different than material goals, almost like the private and public sector kind of clashing a bit here. Now, the public, the fans of a person are also Aquarius. Internet, all kinds of systems, big groups and systems are represented by us, Aquarius. Interconnected. Aquarius is everything is connected, and when the person has a lot of Aquarius, they believe in this kind of everything is interconnected, and they kind of see this big network of things. And one of the things where what it does in our birth charts, our natal charts, birth charts, Aquarius, this is the place where we might have these kind of big ups and downs. A lot of, things are kind of stable, and then again those spikes go up and down, and a lot of changes. All of a sudden, very sudden shocks. This is also Aquarius, the sign of Aquarius. Yeah, intellectual, very scientific. I think I mentioned all of these DDDs, and also this is a part of our natal chart where we can get we can call them like sudden flashes of brilliance or sudden flashes of downloads. We can get, sometimes we do something, we go about our day, and suddenly, pew, something comes into our consciousness, in your mind. And this is one of the places in our charts that this can happen very often. So, but also the nervous system, economy, all of these groups and all kinds of waves as well. So let's move on, guys. Let's move on to the last sign of the zodiac, and this is here. This is called Pisces. And again, maybe it's a little more to do with Pisces, the symbol, but you just have to learn it. And now, from an elemental perspective and from a quality perspective, Pisces is more, it's not so and so, it's more, let's say, connected, because it's water and it's mutable. So there's a lot of, that mutable kind of shifting, changing part to the Pisces. And then there's that water, which can also, weave its way through the cracks, and it's a lot to do with intuition and creativity. So Pisces is a very creative sign, but the negative side, because of that mutable, I change, there can be, when there's a lot of Pisces energy in a person's chart, it's almost like they don't know a lot. It's the clarity is sometimes not really there, so they're kind of here and there, not anywhere. They're kind of floating around at times, and this is what the mutable and water energy does. It's a very kind of not here, not there, maybe in those other spaces, in the other dimensions, which is a lot to do with Pisces, other dimensions and meditations, grasping for those creative ideas from those other realms of existence. And they're kind of floating around there in their own minds, and they're thinking creative things, or they're talking to angels, or they're talking to guides. And it is a bit of a very, very creative side, and very, very sensitive, intuitive, kind of can feel a lot of other people's emotions, feelings. They don't have any limits. They don't have boundaries. This is one of the reasons they sometimes take on other people's emotions and things like that. All kinds of like dreams, fantasy, visualization, psychic. This is all Pisces energy. Very all-encompassing. And what does this mean is they don't really discriminate. They take the animals, they take the children, they take everybody in all aspects of life, and they kind of let them in, and they're very kind of altruistic, humanistic, want to do good, and this is where the negative side again comes. They can go, thanks to that, they can go to addictions themselves, alcohol, drugs, everything to do with these poison medicines. These are all also Pisces. And one of the, maybe again the negative side is for the Pisces is doing things unlawfully, and kind of doing things in secret and behind the scenes, and so that nobody knows. This is again more of the negative side of the Pisces energy. And that the positive side is spirituality and helping others, and creativity, making music and making art, and making medicine and healing others, and loving others unconditionally, basically. A very important thing is sleep. as well. And wherever Pisces goes in our birth charts, this is where we kind of lose the limitations. This is the area where we usually feel unconditional love. There are no limits towards those people, those houses represent wherever Pisces is in our charts. And yeah, we can also be kind of forgetful and maybe almost sleepy and dreamy in those areas, and at times forget things and maybe go too much of those float too much regarding these matters. So it's not always, but it's also, you know, the positive side of this is it's aware that kind of like almost like luck, blind luck can come to us as well. It's a very intriguing placement, this Pisces. It's there's so much, you know, positivity with the Pisces, and then there's this negative side and almost like criminal side, dark side of the Pisces. It's an interesting sign as well. I think with maybe with Scorpio, I would say it's one of the most difficult ones to kind of live with in this lifetime. But it's also to do with bedroom, sleeping. I think I mentioned meditation. What did I want to mention? It's escape as well. Escaping reality. It's kind of like downside of this. And yeah, I think this is it. Obviously, there's a lot of things more to do with the signs and that the signs represent. But one of my main goals with this kind of mini series is to pique your interest and kind of give you the basics for you guys to start, you know, thinking like an astrologer, thinking how to read a birth chart, asking more questions. You know, maybe seeing, oh, this is pretty interesting. How can I do it? Oh, this is pretty logical. You know, how can I do that? And this is what this, you know, mini lessons in astrology is going to be about. And it's about giving you the basics to be able to take the first steps in this. And now we're you know, good job. We're done with signs. We know what the signs mean, what the signs represent. And now we're going onwards to the houses, and we're going to look at the different houses, and what the houses represent in our lives. And then after that, we're going to put these two together and see what happens when, for example, when, you know, Pisces goes into the first house, or Pisces goes into the seventh house, or Aquarius goes into the fourth. What does it mean, and how does that logic even work? And this is we're not going to go through all of the positions, but we're going to do a couple of at least examples, so I can show you how to start combining signs and start combining houses while reading a birth chart. So thanks again, guys, for watching, listening. Hopefully you got something out of it, and you know, learn about the symbols, learn the symbols. You know, first I did a video on these as well. Learn the signs, then you have the foundation. Thanks a lot, and see you again in another video very soon.